The Dallas Cowboys are standing at one of those rare crossroads where patience and aggression collide. Every offseason feels important in the NFL, but some feel heavier than others, and this one carries the weight of unfinished business. Dallas has the talent. Dallas has the stars. What Dallas hasn't had is the killer instinct to push all the chips to the middle of the table when the window is wide open. That's why these trade rumors matter so much, because they're not just about players, they're about philosophy. The name that keeps dominating the conversation is Maxx Crosby, and for good reason. Crosby isn't just an elite edge rusher. He's a walking embodiment of violence, effort, and accountability. He doesn't take plays off. He doesn't disappear when teams scheme against him. He forces offenses to react every single snap. When analysts like Joel Corey at CBS Sports identify Crosby as a potential trade candidate, it immediately sparks imagination, especially in a city that's been starving for a defense that finishes the job in January. FanSided poured gasoline on the fire by claiming the Cowboys' chances of landing Crosby have never felt more real, but that statement needs context. This isn't about the Raiders wanting to rebuild. This isn't about Las Vegas shopping their best player. This is about leverage, frustration, and timing. Crosby reportedly didn't take kindly to being shut down late in the season. And for the first time, that crack in the armor made people wonder if he could eventually push his way out. From Dallas' perspective, the fit is terrifying in the best way possible. Imagine Micah Parsons lining up on one side, Maxx Crosby on the other, and offense is having to choose which superstar gets doubled. The answer is that you can't stop both. You can slow one down, but the other will feast. This isn't just a schematic upgrade. It's a psychological one. Quarterbacks feel pressure before the ball is even snapped when they know what's coming. The price, of course, will be brutal. 2 first-round picks, or something close to it, would almost certainly be the starting point. For some fans, that's a non-starter. Draft picks feel safe. Draft picks feel responsible. But draft picks are still projections. Maxx Crosby is reality. He's proven. He's in his prime. And when you're trying to win a Super Bowl, certainty matters more than potential. Still, there's a massive obstacle standing in the way, and it's the Raiders' future. If Las Vegas truly believes they've secured the number 1 overall pick and a quarterback like Fernando Mendoza to reset the franchise, trading Crosby becomes counterproductive. You don't move a cornerstone defender just as you're trying to stabilize the foundation. That's why this rumor feels both tantalizing and fragile at the same time. This brings us to the larger question Cowboys fans must confront. Should Dallas even want to make a move this big? Blockbuster trades are seductive. They dominate headlines, sell jerseys, and create instant buzz. But they also reshape your roster for years. You're no longer building slowly. You're declaring that the time is now. Consequences be damned. And Maxx Crosby isn't the only name floating around. Jalen Ramsey has been linked to Dallas as well. And while the name still carries star power, the context is very different. Ramsey is no longer the young, lockdown corner who erased entire sides of the field. He's still very good, still intelligent, still versatile. But he's also expensive, aging, and carries more risk than reward at this stage of his career. If Dallas were to trade premium assets for Ramsey, it would feel more like chasing reputation than maximizing value. The Cowboys don't need a headline defender. They need impact where it changes games the most. That's why some of the quieter trade rumors might actually make more sense in the long run. Nick Herbig from the Steelers is one of those names that doesn't break the internet, but should absolutely get attention. He's young, explosive, and still developing, which means Dallas could mold him into their system without sacrificing the future. Pete Werner from the Saints fits a similar mold at linebacker. Reliable, physical, instinctive, the kind of player who upgrades your defense without demanding the spotlight. As this offseason unfolds, the Cowboys are faced with a defining choice. Do they swing for the fences and risk everything for a superstar? Or do they make calculated strikes that strengthen the roster without burning tomorrow to fuel today? The answer will tell us everything about how serious this organization truly is about winning now. The Dallas Cowboys are once again at the center of major offseason trade rumors, and this time the word blockbuster might actually fit. Names like Maxx Crosby and Jalen Ramsey are being linked to Dallas, while other intriguing targets, such as Nick Herbig and Pete Werner, are quietly gaining traction. The big question is not just whether the Cowboys can pull off a massive trade, it's whether they should. Let's start with Maxx Crosby, because this is the rumor that has Cowboys fans buzzing. Fansided recently claimed that the Cowboys' chances of landing Crosby have never felt more real, and that idea stems from CBS Sports' Joel Corey listing Crosby as a potential trade candidate this offseason. The key detail here is that any Crosby trade would likely require him to force his way out of Las Vegas. The Raiders have no reason to shop a player like Crosby unless the relationship cracks. From a football perspective, the appeal is obvious. Maxx Crosby is one of the most relentless edge rushers in the NFL. He brings pressure, leadership, toughness, and elite production every single year. Pairing Crosby with Micah Parsons would instantly give Dallas the most dangerous pass-rushing duo in the league. Offenses would have no good answers. Someone would be getting a one-on-one matchup on every snap, and that's how games and playoff runs are won. The price, however, would be enormous. We're likely talking about 2 first-round picks or something very close to that. That's a franchise-altering decision. But here's the honest truth. First-round picks are still guesses. Maxx Crosby is a proven superstar in his prime. If Dallas truly believes their championship window is open right now, this is the type of move bold teams make to finish the job. That said, the Raiders' situation complicates things. If Las Vegas locks up the number 1 overall pick and believes quarterback Fernando Mendoza is their future, trading Crosby becomes far less likely. A team trying to stabilize its future doesn't usually give away its defensive heartbeat. That's why this rumor feels exciting but fragile at the same time. Then there's Jalen Ramsey, another big name floated as a potential Cowboys trade target. Ramsey is still a talented defensive back, but this move would come with more risk. He's older, expensive, and no longer the same shutdown corner he once was. Trading premium assets for Ramsey feels more like chasing star power than solving Dallas' biggest problems. The more realistic and potentially smarter targets might be the quieter ones. Steelers' edge rusher Nick Herbig is young, explosive, and still developing. The kind of player who could thrive in Dan Quinn's system without costing a fortune. Saints linebacker Pete Werner would immediately bring physicality and consistency to a Cowboys linebacker group that has struggled with depth and durability. In the end, this offseason will reveal exactly who the Cowboys are. Do they play it safe and hope internal growth is enough? Or do they swing big and declare that the time to win is now? A Maxx Crosby trade would be risky, expensive, and dramatic, but it would also send a message the entire league would hear loud and clear. The Dallas Cowboys enter the 2026 offseason at a crossroads. After a disappointing 2025 campaign that ended with just 7 wins, many around the league are questioning whether this roster still has what it takes to compete at the highest level. Inside the Cowboys building, however, the belief is very different. There is confidence that this team is closer to contention than the record suggests, and that with the right moves, Dallas can reemerge as a legitimate NFC title threat in 2026. Offensively, the optimism is easy to understand. In his first season as head coach, Brian Schottenheimer helped engineer one of the more efficient offenses in the NFL. The Cowboys moved the ball well, stayed competitive in most games, and showed flashes of being able to control tempo against quality opponents. While there is always room for improvement, the offense does not feel like the primary issue holding this team back. Defensively, though, it's a completely different story. Dallas struggled mightily on that side of the ball in 2025, especially in the secondary and in key moments late in games. Missed assignments, inconsistent communication, and a lack of depth were exposed week after week. That's why the hiring of new defensive coordinator Christian Parker is such a critical move for the franchise. Parker brings a modern, aggressive philosophy, but even the best scheme needs talent to succeed. That reality is why the Cowboys must be active in the 2026 free agency market. This list of 6 dream targets represents players who could realistically hit the open market and who fit exactly what Dallas needs. The Cowboys won't be able to sign all of them, but these names should absolutely be on their radar if they are serious about becoming contenders again. 1. Tyler Allgeier, running back, Atlanta Falcons. Even though the Cowboys plan to re-sign Javonte Williams after his breakout season, it would be a mistake to assume the running back room is complete. In today's NFL, depth at the position is essential, and that's where Tyler Allgeier comes in as an ideal complementary piece. Allgeier is a physical, downhill runner who brings a completely different dimension to the offense. At around 225 pounds, he thrives on contact and wears defenses down over the course of a game. He proved his ability early in his career, rushing for over 1,000 yards as a rookie in 2022. Since then, he's played a secondary role behind Bijan Robinson in Atlanta, but that shouldn't diminish his value. In Dallas, Allgeier would be a perfect fit for a zone-based rushing attack. His patience, vision, and ability to explode through creases would allow the Cowboys to keep defenses honest and maintain balance on offense. More importantly, he would give Dallas a reliable option in short yardage and late-game situations, something the team has lacked at times. 2. Reed Blankenship, safety, Philadelphia Eagles. When installing a new defensive system, having players who already understand the coordinator's philosophy is invaluable. That's exactly why Reed Blankenship stands out as such an intriguing target for the Cowboys. Blankenship spent 2 seasons playing under Christian Parker in Philadelphia, gaining first-hand experience in the system Dallas is now adopting. He's a vocal leader, a strong communicator, and a player who consistently puts himself in the right position. Those traits alone make him attractive, but his on-field production is just as important. The Cowboys' secondary has been a weakness for several seasons, particularly at safety. Missed tackles and blown coverages have cost Dallas in critical moments. Blankenship would immediately raise the floor of the unit, providing reliability and football intelligence. While he may not be the flashiest name on the market, he's exactly the type of player winning teams value. 3. Rick Woolen, cornerback, Seattle Seahawks. If the Cowboys want to make a major statement in free agency, Rick Woolen is the type of player who can do that. Few cornerbacks in the NFL possess his combination of size, speed, and ball skills. Standing at 6'4" with elite athleticism, Woolen is capable of matching up with the league's biggest and fastest receivers. Dallas has struggled to find consistency at cornerback opposite their top option, and that has allowed opposing quarterbacks to exploit matchups. Woolen would change that immediately. His presence alone would allow Christian Parker to be more aggressive with his coverage schemes, knowing he has a true shutdown caliber defender on the outside. Beyond the physical traits, Woolen has shown the ability to create turnovers, something the Cowboys desperately need more of on defense. Adding a corner of his caliber would transform the secondary and send a clear message that Dallas is serious about fixing its defensive issues. 4. Brian Burns, edge rusher, Carolina Panthers. Pass rush depth remains one of the Cowboys' biggest concerns heading into 2026. While Dallas has talented edge players, injuries and inconsistency have prevented the unit from dominating the way it should. That's why targeting an elite pass rusher like Brian Burns makes so much sense. Burns is one of the most explosive edge defenders in the league, with the speed and bend to win off the edge and the technique to beat tackles consistently. He commands attention from offenses, often requiring double teams, which opens up opportunities for other defenders. Pairing Burns with the Cowboys' existing pass rushers would give Dallas one of the most dangerous defensive fronts in the NFC. It would also take pressure off the secondary, allowing coverage players to be more aggressive knowing the quarterback won't have much time to throw. 5. Patrick Queen, linebacker, Baltimore Ravens. Linebacker play has been another area where the Cowboys have lacked consistency. Patrick Queen brings exactly what Dallas needs at the position: speed, physicality, and leadership. Queen has developed into a complete linebacker who excels against both the run and the pass. He's comfortable covering tight ends and running backs, but he's also aggressive attacking downhill. In Christian Parker's defense, Queen would be the centerpiece, the player everything revolves around. His ability to diagnose, plays quickly, and rally teammates would help stabilize the entire defense. For a unit that struggled with communication and alignment in 2025, Queen's presence could be transformative. 6. Jalen Johnson, cornerback, Chicago Bears. Rounding out the list is another high-end cornerback option in Jalen Johnson. While Woolen brings rare size and athleticism, Johnson offers elite technique and consistency. He's one of the best man coverage corners in the NFL and rarely gets beat cleanly. Johnson would be an immediate upgrade in Dallas' defensive backfield. His ability to shadow top receivers would give the Cowboys flexibility in how they deploy the rest of their secondary. With Johnson locking down one side of the field, Parker could be more creative with blitzes and coverage rotations. Adding Johnson would also provide long-term stability at a premium position, something the Cowboys have been searching for years. Final thoughts. The Dallas Cowboys don't need a full rebuild. What they need is targeted, intelligent aggression in free agency. The 6 players on this list represent dream scenarios, but they also represent realistic paths to improvement. If Dallas can land even 2 or 3 of these names, the impact would be massive. The defense would be faster, smarter, and more aggressive. The offense would gain depth and balance. The Dallas Cowboys are once again at the center of major offseason trade rumors, and this time the word blockbuster might actually fit. Names like Maxx, Crosby, and Jalen Ramsey are being linked to Dallas, while other intriguing targets